Good morning, this is Jen from Jen's Leathercraft. Today we're going to make a rolled handle. I'm going to show you the simple steps for how to not only fill your handle, but to draft out your design without a template. Things that we're going to need: of course, the fabric that you're going to use for rolling up in the middle for the core. You're going to need needles and thread. You're going to need your snips to cut the thread. You're going to need a lighter to seal off your ends. You'll need a punch and your mallet for making the holes, and of course a sharp blade and then a straight edge. The handle I'm going to make is about 30 millimeters wide. I'm going to use a ballpoint pen. Some people prefer to use a silver pen or other marking tools like soapstone for marking where they want to make their cuts. Since I'm using scrap leather, I'm going to take this edge that was already cut straight and cheat it a little bit. At 30 millimeters, I'm marking my handle points. What that's going to do is that's going to tell me where to place my straight line. Okay, lined up. Now it's time to cut. Make sure your blade is nice and sharp. Follow up your cut just to make sure that you've got good separation. And we'll start with a strip of leather that's 30 millimeters wide. Now you can choose to end your handles in any way you like. For this one, for this side, I'm going to do a chevron. And you can find your center point to make it symmetrical. For this example, I'm just sketching it out by hand. For this one, you can go with a radius end. You can do a lot of different things with a rolled handle. It's ultimately the bag designer's choice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out this segment from the end. And then I'm going to cut off the chevron. Okay, so again, this is a fairly short handle just for demonstration purposes. It is a little over 8 inches long, maybe 8.5. To make the punches on both sides even, one thing that you can do is fold the leather in half and then begin your punching process. Because this is so narrow, I'm going to punch it on each side individually. The punching technique down the sides and around the curve, I'm going to use a different head on my punch. I happen to have a toolkit with different size heads that I use frequently. because I have interchangeable punch heads, I'm going to switch to my 2-prong punch head that's at the same spacing as my others. I'm going to find my last pierce point and start from there. The things that I do is measure out my thread. Depending on what type of finish you want, you're really going to be starting from kind of the 3rd or 4th hole back, depending on how you want it to attach to your bag. But for simple measurement purposes, I'm going to measure the length of my strap and then 4 times that amount for the thread. There are steps that you would often take in preparing this handle, of course, like edge coating, finishing, burnishing. I pierce through the center of the thread. Now I have my thread ready. I'm going to take a look at how long the fabric needs to be for the core. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a rough cut here. And the core should be slightly smaller than the length of the handle. So I'm going to measure back a bit so that the core will still kind of give a little bit of that dimension to the final end point of the handle. And then I'm going to flip my handle material over. I'm going to roll this up nice and tight. I'm not worried about getting all the leather scraps on it because it's inside the handle and no one will be able to see. I'm going to quick check to see the sizing. So this core is a little bit too big. What I'm going to do is take a bit of material off of the handle. So this should be perfect. What we're going to do is begin to stitch the handle. Okay, so we're going to use our trimmed core. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our needles and thread, and we're going to start a little above. So I did 1, 2, 3. I'm going to start at the 4th hole because for my bag attachment, I'm going to want to have some material that will land on the fabric itself, or on the bag material itself. So for the core material, you're going to place it inside the pocket that you're made out of the leather. And I started in the 4th hole from the corner. That allows me to attach the chevron portion to the bag and gives a nice finished look. If you're using machine, this is certainly a much faster process. But you stitch down the length of the handle, stopping at also the 4th hole from the end. I used a large spacing on my punch so that I could do this quickly. Every bag maker has their own unique sizing and styling that they're going to want to implement. But these are the basics. So on the rounded side, you'll have kind of this teardrop shape for when you attach to your bag material. So that's really it. It's quite simple, and you attach it to your bag like this.